I absolutely love my wife. It's the kind of love where I don't feel ashamed or embarrassed to tell everyone exactly how I feel. She is just so inherently awesome that I don't think it's rude or obnoxious to make it basically just an objective statement that she is the perfect wife. Now, I'm not saying I'm blind or that she has no flaws whatsoever. She's human, so yeah, she's not perfect when compared to some unattainable fantasy ideal I have just in my imagination. When I say she's perfect, I'm comparing her to all the other wives who actually do exist in the real world. Now, some of you might say, yeah, sure, I guess you love her. Look at all her natural assets and resources. I'd like to have that too. But I'm not just talking about the superficial stuff. I mean, I love who she is at her very core. What she believes, what she stands for, and everything she's always done for me. You could even say I'm an evangelist for her way of life, or her way of wife. I am convinced that if everyone else's wife was more like mine, then the world would be a much happier place. This attitude doesn't necessarily make me all that popular with the neighbors. Some of them find my prejudice for my wife kind of arrogant and off-putting. But what the heck do I care? I'm not about making my neighbors like me. I'm about what's best for me and mine. And having lived almost half a century, studying history, and observing the world around me, I can say with confidence that my wife is the best. And because she is the best, I will lay down my life to protect her. When people disrespect her, even if it's just a picture of her, I get really pissed off. And when I hear idiots spreading lies about her, I step up to defend her honor. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, but I think that's what love entails. Now, I know a guy. He also claims that he loves his wife, and he actually gets really mad if I insinuate or when I just flat out say he doesn't. The problem is his definition of love. He constantly publicly disrespects her. I'm not talking about just pointing out a mistake here and there. I mean, that's what good spouses do, and it's usually from a place of love and wanting to help. This is a whole different thing. This guy says that his wife's very core is corrupt and evil. He says that it goes all the way back to before she was even born. She was bad from before her conception and has been nothing but a disappointment ever since. He constantly puts her down while talking up the neighbors' wives, coveting how lucky they are because they're so much better at doing whatever thing he happens to be complaining about at the moment. He holds her up against this crazy ideal he has in his head of what a woman should do for him. And he abuses her because she can't hold up to this science fiction ideal. I even heard him publicly declare that he was never proud of her until she did this one thing that he wanted her to do. I asked him, why are you even with her? Why don't you just leave and enjoy life with one of those other wives you're always talking about? Now, he replied that he thinks he can fundamentally change her. If he can only get rid of all her old beliefs and values, he can reshape her into his imaginary ideal. You see, he hates that she still holds the old-fashioned beliefs and ideals of her family. He thinks that only if she was more like the worldly and metropolitan women he met in college, accepting all the ideas that he learned there, then everything would just be okay. The last straw for me was when I saw him allow his friends physically attack and hurt her because, well, I guess as far as he was concerned, she deserved it. And he didn't want to make any of those friends of his mad by defending her. Now, if you're like me, you would say this guy, if claims to love his wife, he doesn't know what love means. And if you're like me, you would say that this guy is a real something which starts with a D. He is a big D. He's a big Democrat. Just go back to the beginning of this video and replay it, replacing all the times I said wife with the word country. Now, before you get all torqued up because you happen to be a Democrat and you don't like the fact that I'm saying Democrats hate the United States of America, go and watch all the clips from this recent Democratic National Convention. Go and watch the biggest speeches from their leaders over the past decade, from whom I got direct quotes, like when I said I was never proud of my country until they elected Barack Obama, or we're moments away from fundamentally changing the United States of America.
If you don't get your act together, you may well go to hell.
You may rise or kneel if you are able, for your preference.
This future that we all want, that we're all trying to build, really is about the destruction of colonization, white supremacy, and capitalism.
I know when my son was murdered, there was a big uprising, but then it settled down. We can't let things settle down.
Amid a national reckoning on racial injustice in this country, communities from Boston to Portland and everywhere in between are rising up.
A movement striving to recognize and repair the wounds of racial injustice, colonization, misogyny, and homophobia.
Folks who know they cannot win fair and square at the ballot box are doing everything they can to stop us from voting.
Now compare those clips with the grand old party being thrown by the grand old party this week. And you have to go and watch it firsthand. You can't let the lying media filter it for you because it gives you a completely different synopsis of what's really going on. There is no question that the Republicans absolutely love America. They love her flag, they love her Constitution, they love her people, they love her history, they love her culture, they love everything that she represents. The very word conservative means that they're trying to conserve that which is precious. Conversely, the Democrat Party has been completely taken over by socialists. The euphemism progressive, by definition, worships change for change itself. For them, America is systemically evil, rotten to its very core, going all the way back to 1619. They like the potential they see in America, but that only means what they can remake it into after they destroy everything that it currently is. Now here's the good thing. If you aren't down with all that, you don't have to remain a Democrat. If you are proud of America, if you love the United States, you can walk away and ensure that all the things that made your childhood so precious and so wonderful are still there for your grandchildren.